Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and what the bloody hell is that on the screen behind me? Let's get rid of that. Some chatty stuff. There we go. If it's back to normal again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ice Cream Lords here on Wednesday, the 22nd of June. I hope that you're having a fantastic day so far. It is absolutely scorchio in Manchester when I left this morning. It is even warmer here in Pulton-le-Fylde. It's not so warm in the studio. I've put the aircon on, let it go for about 10 minutes. It's lovely and crisp in here now. You might see me get some stiff nipples, but it's dark enough for you not to be able to see them, so that's fantastic. Yes, I am fully aware that I also need a haircut. But apart from that, everything else is going splendidly. I've got more chairs in this studio this morning, so I've had to climb and move them out of the way. So this is literally we're at max capacity now. Genuinely, if I could show you what the studio currently looks like, you genuinely wouldn't believe it. It's a really, really nice studio. It's just there's a lot of stuff knocking about at this moment in time, so this definitely needs a massive, massive deep clean. But you don't need to know about what the studio looks like. You're here to listen to me talk about video game news, and that's exactly what we're going to do for you today. It is just me for the time being. Graham is very nearly at the tail end of his COVID stuff, so hopefully you should be able to see him return soon. He isn't going to be streaming tonight, so for those of you that are waiting for his PUBG Chasing Crates with Mates or PUBG Fun Times, that is not going to be taking place tonight. He'll be back, fingers crossed, towards the end of the week, for one episode of The Scoop, maybe for one this weekend if he's still feeling up to it as well. So don't expect any PUBG streams for the next couple of days at least. But this is The Scoop, the UK's #1 video game podcast. Even if we do say so ourselves, we go live every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me just double check something. We went live 10 minutes ago, and it is now 8 minutes past 11. So therefore, we had our first 10 a.m. start this week. Let's have a little round of applause for ourselves. There we go. For those of you that are watching this live, like Lake is in here nice and early. Timeless is in here nice and early. Ads is just joining as well. We very much appreciate you guys for coming through. If you aren't joining us for this live on Twitch, there is numerous ways that you can do that. You probably already know because you're listening to it on any of those, but we go live at 10 a.m.-ish on Twitch. Then it gets turned into a podcast, which you can find over on YouTube after the fact, where you get to watch with some video, or any of our podcast services where you just get to listen to my lovely Mancunian voice, and they can be found on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play, all for the low price of £0. So you get to listen to this podcast for free. Over 600 episodes of this podcast now. 603, I think. All for free. You don't have to pay for one of them, which is great because I don't think we'll be able to sell them if that was the case. So I do appreciate over 130,000 of you guys that have come through that have listened to this podcast. I'm guessing it's probably near to 140,000 now. We'll have to do the maths again at some point. Maybe a couple of months down the line, so we might be able to try and get that figure up to 150. I'm guessing we're probably at like 137 currently, so that'll be fantastic if we could get it over to 150 by the end of the year. Tyler says, feel better, Graham, missing the crates being chased. It hasn't stopped him from playing it, because I do get notifications when he goes live on my phone that he's signed in on PlayStation. So it hasn't stopped him from doing it. He just obviously doesn't want to do it in front of you guys, which I'm not against. No, I'm not against that. You know, sometimes you just want to be in your pants and on your sofa watching or playing something. Do you know what I mean? I'm not against the old solo missions, especially not in Fortnite. I play better on my own. JMK can't believe it's coming with the exclamation time straight off the bat. He cannot believe it's now 10 past 11. We went live before 11 o'clock. I might add, morning all, he says. But again, it is only me for today, which obviously we have an actual title for that. I can't remember who actually give us the name for this. It could have been Chappers, but we do tend to call it a dollop, where it's just one host. So it's just me talking to you guys in the chat, that then giving your thoughts and impressions, and then I give my thoughts and impressions on top of your thoughts and impressions. And that's how this little merry-go-round goes round. So, as it is only me, I think we better move on with the show. Otherwise, we're just going to go around again in circles. And we don't want that. We want this to be nice and quick, nice and concise. Great to see you, baby. It's great to see you in the chat, JMK. I do appreciate you guys that come through every single day to join us, that make this podcast exactly what it is. Otherwise, it would just be me talking into the void, and no one wants to be able to do that. We want to have friends. We want to be able to have conversations. We want like-minded people, and even people who disagree with us, to have these conversations, because that is how good, grown-up conversations, civilized conversations take place, and you can see and hear exactly what people are thinking. Good, bad, or indifferent. So we have got some news stories today. We've got 4 of them, and we are going to start with the facts that I have glorified this a little bit to glorify it to a little bit of clickbait news. But to be fair, it's kind of bang on. PlayStation has rejected Gamescom's offer to be at their event later on this year. It's a shame because obviously Lake is going, Graham and the rest of the Jelly staff are going to Gamescom this year. So the fact that Take-Two aren't going to be there, PlayStation aren't going to be there, Nintendo aren't going to be there. It's starting to look like it's going to be a bit of a lesser show, but hopefully the quality of the other games that will there will obviously make that a good weekend for everyone that is going to be there. We also have some news from Microsoft stating that they have currently a shortage of Xbox controllers, as well as Sucker Punch hiring for Ghost of Tsushima 2. The game of the year, Ghost of Tsushima, is getting a sequel, and it looks like they're currently hiring people to come and work on that game. And also, Free Guys falls at the very first hurdle, as it looks like when it's gone into free to play, the rest of the world has tried to get in and the servers can't seem to hack it. But we'll get some more on that. First of all, we're going to start with today's lead story, which is been written on VGC by Andy Robinson. Let me just make this full screen. We go into the old console frame. Here we go. Oh, didn't see you there. Pip, move. There we go. Empty Hall says that, like, that's what, hopefully it won't be like that. I'll tell you what, because Graham isn't here, I'll do this for him because he'll crucify for me if I don't. So we're going to move ourselves around and then we bring ourselves back in again. See, that's Graham's favourite toy. I don't like to take it away from him, but he's not here, so I'll do it on behalf of him. But anyway, written on VGC by Andy Robinson, he states that PlayStation is the latest company to confirm it won't be attending Gamescom. So far, only a handful of publishers have publicly confirmed that they'll be attending the German Expo. In a statement issued to German publication Games Wirtschaft, I think I've nailed that, a spokesperson for the PlayStation firm confirmed it would not be attending this year's event due to take place in August and will be the first in-person show since the pandemic. The other companies, including Nintendo, Activision Blizzard and Take-Two Interactive, have also said that they will not be attending Gamescom's return. Gamescom's organisers claim that over 250 companies will attend this year's event, but at the time of writing, only a handful of major publishers, including Bandai Namco, THQ Nordic and Koch Media, have publicly confirmed. VGC understands that one of the issues that many publishers have simply planning pre-release game demos since the pandemic, such as those being made available at the events like Gamescom, and thus would have little to show in a big public show. Yo, Candy Bear! Coming in with a raid of 44 people. Thank you so much for that. We very much appreciate it. We are in our first news story today. This is Ice Cream Uploads. We go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m. over on this Twitch channel. So if you're not already following, please make sure that you do that. We will very much appreciate you. You may be able to get something from the ice cream van, who knows, but I very much appreciate that, Candy. I hope you had a fantastic morning so far. I think is it evening over in the US now? Either way, thank you very much, we appreciate it. Devoted Burrito has come in and he's dropped a load of emojis, so again, we very much appreciate that. Oh, we've got a new sub as well. Timeless has gifted a sub to Candy Bear. Timeless, thank you very much to do that. We very much appreciate it. Candy Bear, enjoy the sub to the ice cream van. We very much appreciate it. It opens a whole world of emotes for you. But moving back into the news again. Gamescom is set to take place on the 24th of August to the 28th of August and will be a hybrid event held on-site in Cologne and simultaneously online. The event will launch at Gamescom's opening night live on August 23rd and will then open for trade visitors, press and content creators on August 24th, ahead of 4 days of public access to ticket holders. On top of the main business and entertainment areas of the convention, Gamescom 2022 also promises additional sections, including cosplay, retro and indie fans. Fatal Days, thank you very much for the follow. I very much appreciate that. So it's looking like the what's been happening over the last couple of years in terms of the pandemic has basically forced developers and publishers' hands to actually showcase, make their own showcases, which we've mentioned quite a few times. Devoted Burrito, thank you very much for the follow, which we have actually mentioned quite a few times, is actually very cost effective for these guys. They don't have to spend an absolute fortune, and believe me, it's not a couple of £100, it's not a couple of £1,000 for these companies to be able to put their game on at any of these showcases. It's a couple of £100,000, and if you are a massive publisher that wants more retail space, that wants to show more off, that wants to pay for adverts, that wants to pay for advertising, that wants the billboards, that wants the staff on site, it could run up into the millions. Not a couple of million, maybe just topping the £1 million mark. But to pay to advertise at these events is absolutely excruciating to your marketing budget. So the fact that companies have been able to make their own events and have very successful events themselves, kind of lends itself to keeping that trend going. Unless you have something that you want people to have hands on at events like this, in kiosks or demonstrations in front of people, then obviously that is a way to be able to do it. But a lot of people have got used to being at home and watching these conversations take place online. We saw a massive influx on our watch-alongs when we was doing stuff like this, because people trust our thoughts and opinions and want to know whether or not it'd be a game that they would prefer, we think that they would like. So I understand why more people are putting trust in others to be able to give them the information secondhand, rather than just watching a 5-hour showcase and then potentially not retaining all of the information. People trust our judgment on video games. I genuinely don't know why, because my video game taste is horrific. I tend to like a load of retro games, whereas Graham only plays one game and it starts with P and ends in UBG. Well, people trust our thoughts and opinions when it comes to video games. So, again, I can see why people want to be able to put on their own conferences rather than paying hundreds of thousands to be at these events. However, when you want to go to these events, like Lake's going to be doing, like the rest of the Jelly team are going to be doing, you go to these events because you want to speak to the people, not necessarily in charge, but the people who may be on the stands that are passionate fans that are manning the stations. You want to be able to have a go at the game. You want to be able to have conversations with other people that are like-minded. But obviously, when it comes to these conferences, and the likes of PlayStation, Active Blizzard, Nintendo aren't there, it kind of takes away a little bit of the fun, and does it make your ticket, your £50 ticket, a little bit more redundant and a bitter pill to swallow? Because if you go to a festival and you're paying £100 to go and watch 35 bands, and there might be 6 or 7 bands in there that you would easily pay £100 to go and watch, you're over the moon with that purchase. You feel like you feel like you're taking money from them because of how much you've paid. But if you're still paying £50 and three or four of the biggest hitters have been taken out, and you're just left with ones that you're not really that interested in the games that are being offered, is it still a bitter pill to swallow? Will you still have a good time? Absolutely. Will you still be able to try a load of games that you might not necessarily have ever heard of, or you would never personally download yourself, but they're there in the kiosk, it's ready for you to be able to play? You just pick up the controller and go. Absolutely. That's what I ended up doing with a load of games when I was there 3 years ago now. Jesus Christ. 2019, I think it was. Yeah, so it was 3 years ago. Yeah, it was a hell of a lot of fun being there and being able to try these games, being able to write articles, being able to publish online, all of these different things that we was able to do. Got to have a sit down with the guys over at Invasion Studios, the guys at the Daymare. Never heard of it. Oh, sorry, I had heard of it, never played it, got to play it. Record holder for the day, being able to complete the game in the fastest time. They'd never seen anything like it so much. That's because I'm a survival horror god. But yeah, all of these things and experiences, it's like I said, it's like going to a festival of video games. If you're massively into that kind of thing, then you genuinely can't go wrong. Will you be doing a watch along for Gamescom? That's a very good point. Let me have a look at my calendar, because I'm fairly certain I'm either away or I might be doing something. But like we did last year and the year before that, if I can rope in people like Asim, if I can rope in people like the Next Gen Base guys, which I have the sticker on here for if Ben's in the chat, if Next Gen Base are knocking around, we may be able to do some stuff there with them. August Gamescom. No, my calendar is genuinely clear, so I might not be doing all 5 days, but we'll definitely cover maybe opening night live. It will be myself, because Graham will actually be there, so we might be able to loop him in on Discord for him to be able to have some feet on the ground kind of reporting. But yeah, we probably will do opening night live, and maybe one more day after that. I'm not going to commit to all 5 days because that will genuinely ruin me, and that's the time that I spend with my boy over the weekend, because it's on Saturday and Sunday. So Sunday maybe as well, because obviously that is my usual stream day. So maybe able to get some insight into that as well. Games are not the only thing I'm going to see at Gamescom. Also the people and the atmosphere there, mate. You can't, honestly, you can't beat it. Like the atmosphere of, I mean, don't be one of them people. I mean, this is a kind of a PSA. I imagine most people will probably know this, but if you go to these kind of conventions, it gets extremely warm. Please make sure, and I know I'm not just talking to you, Luke, to you, Lake. Just put some deodorant on, guys. Like, these are very sweaty convention halls. It does hum. So I'm just making you aware, like, that there is some smells in there. So make sure you take some hand sanitizer, deodorant, and some baby wipes. They're the 3 things that you need to have in your bag before you leave. I'm telling you, like, it will become invaluable, me telling you to do this. So you take the baby wipes to be able to clean the controllers before you use them. Hand sanitizer if you're shaking hands with people, or you are after you've used the controller. And the deodorant, obviously, just stay on top of that, so you're not going to be one of them smelly people. Going live to Graham at the scene. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's just a little bit of advice for you. It is a massive convention hall. It's a fantastic place, but yeah, as you can imagine, there's hundreds of thousands of people walking across places. Not everyone is that hygienic, so just make sure that you have stuff with you to be able to combat that. Again, please make sure that you baby wipe the controller before you use it. Honestly, that is invaluable advice. There is always what do we call it? Conflu, where you come back from a conference or you come back from a giant get-together, and people obviously just come back a little bit sick because they're touching controllers, then they're having a drink, then they're touching more controllers, or they're shaking hands, and they'll have something to eat. It's like a cesspit of disease. So just make sure that you take stuff with you to be able to combat that. It's invaluable advice. It's advice that I got given, advice that I adhered to, and it came back absolutely fine. Graham came back with cold sores, as he always inevitably does. Don't know who's been kissing Danielle. If you are watching this, I'd keep an eye on him. You never know what is it. It wasn't me, by the way. It wasn't me that he was kissing. I know people might come to that conclusion or jump to that conclusion. It genuinely wasn't me. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the next news article. We've been live now 20 minutes or so. We'll go through this one. A bit more news for the old Microsoft side of things. I'll just give away the rest of the articles now. Boo. Written on VGC by Chris Scullion, Microsoft has confirmed a shortage of Xbox controllers. Microsoft has acknowledged a shortage of the Xbox controllers after major retailers sold out completely this month. At the time of writing, major retailers in multiple regions are completely sold out of the Xbox wireless controllers, and peripherals seem to be particularly scarce across Europe. In the UK, there are currently no controllers in any colour in stock at retailers Games, Smiths, Argos, Currys, or even the official Microsoft store. Amazon UK is one of the few retailers with stock of the Carbon Black controller, which is newly added today. It was sold out yesterday. A third-party price on Amazon for the Black controller starts at £93.99, nearly double the official price. The situation appears to be similar in many regions, with Reset Era forum users discussing the difficulty in locating controllers in various countries, including Australia, France, the Netherlands, and Germany. The Xbox Design Lab appears to be still taking orders from players wishing to design their own custom controllers. The Design Lab site continues to claim that we aim to have the controllers in your hands within 20 days of placing your order, and it's not clear if this still remains the case or simply hasn't yet been updated. Xbox confirmed the controller shortage following the inquiry by VGC attributed to supply distributions, and this is a quote from them. "We know it may be hard finding Xbox wireless controllers right now due to supply disruptions," a Microsoft spokesperson told us. "We're working as fast as possible with our manufacturing and retail partners to improve this. Please check with your local retailer for availability." Stock seems to be somewhat more readily available in the US for now, with availability in the Microsoft Store and Best Buy, though some sites such as Amazon US and GameStop are currently only selling pre-owned controllers, suggesting supplies aren't plentiful in the region. And then some news about global chip shortages and the rest of the PlayStation 5s that aren't being made to be able to get sold, blah, 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 blah. So it looks right the way across the board that there is a massive shortage in supply of not only PlayStation 5s, not only Xbox Series S's and X's, but also Xbox controllers, which is a crying shame because I mean these Xbox controllers are really versatile, but the fact that you can obviously use them for like playing Google Stadia, Nvidia GeForce Now on your PC, be able to play on your Xbox, being able to play on your controller on a via xCloud and stuff like that. They are such a universal controller that people buy them just for those kind of things. Like you don't even have to use them for just Xboxes. So like we have loads of them in the office because we have capture PCs, we have consoles, so we do have a lot of these controllers just lying about and stuff, so we probably could cash in and make an absolute fortune on this. But yeah, it's a shame, but it's right the way across the board. Consoles, you can't find them. Controllers, you can't find them. Graphics cards, you can't find them. If you want them, they're being scalped at insane prices, like £93, double what the actual controller is currently retailing for. Is a bit of a pain in the ass. But again, it's supply and demand, as was the entire pandemic when it comes to people selling toilet roll for 3 times the price. If you can't get hold of them anywhere, then people just end up, if people are sat on them, they'll end up selling them for more. It's just the shitty way of doing it. But people are making that bang, bro. Sorry, I just had a quick sip of my brew there. Anyway, moving on to something else that obviously, this is actually good news for once. It feels like for the last couple of days, all we've done is give you bad news. This time, however, we've got some good news for you. Written over on VGC by Don Peppiatt, he states that it sure looks like Sucker Punch is hiring for Ghost of Tsushima 2. New job ads for the Sony studio seems to suggest that a new unannounced open world stealth game is on the horizon. It makes sense that Sucker Punch would want to make a series out of Ghost of Tsushima, a game that sold over 8 million copies to date. So when an ad crops up higher in the unannounced open world stealth game, our minds automatically turn to Ghost of Tsushima 2. Per 2 new job ads on the Sucker Punch website, one asking for a technical combat designer and one asking for a senior combat designer, we may have some preliminary details about what the studio is looking to achieve with its next game title. Game of the Year game, by the way. This isn't just any kind of game. This is a full-blown Game of the Year sequel. So anyway, moving swiftly on. There's also a listing up for an encounter designer whose job it would be to meld interesting layouts and challenge enemies into compelling game encounters, all with the action stealth focus. Of course, there is always the chance that this could be something else, a new IP, perhaps, or even a follow-up to Sly Cooper or the infamous series. At the time of writing, nothing has been confirmed either by Sony or the developer itself, so we'll just have to wait to see what these jobs end up being. We learned in April that Sucker Punch isn't actively working on any more patches for Ghost of Tsushima, so it stands to reason that the studio's focus is fully on this new, as of yet, unreleased games. If you are hungry for more stealthy samurai action, you'll be pleased to know that there's a Ghost of Tsushima film in the works with John Wick's Chad Stahelski directing it. So, Precision, thank you very much for the host. I very much appreciate that, pal. Was you streaming this morning? I did see that you went live twice yesterday, so he's definitely got the bug back, but thank you very much for the host. We very much appreciate that, Shagger. I hope we've had a good morning so far. Dave says, I've been looking at one for two years for my PC, and it explains why even the broken pads are going for 30 to 50 quid. Yeah, because people obviously are buying them to probably repair their older controllers. A pain, again, massive pain in the ass, but it is what it is at the moment. It's supply and demand. If you can't get hold of them, that's probably why. But yeah, Ghost of Tsushima 2 is in the works. I mean, not confirmed just yet, but it looks like they are going to be working on something sometime soon, and that will get announced. I mean, it kind of goes without saying, if you've sold 8 million copies and it was Game of the Year, then you are probably going to have a sequel of that game. It may not sell as well, it may not be as good, but if you have 8 million potential previous customers, you've got to try and shoot for the stars. You've got to try and at least try and sell 8 million copies. But the fact that they probably sold 4 million and then the word of mouth starts to spread, and then 2 years later they're available on a discount price or whatever, another 2 million pop up or whatever. You know how video games end up getting sold. This game has never been in the bargain bin, so this is people paying either full price or picking it up when it's in a sale. So yeah, it stands to reason why they want to make a second one. Why wouldn't you want to make a second one? You capitalize on what you already have out there. You keep it fresh in people's minds. They've stopped making DLC for it. They stop actively working on it, so that kind of gives you a hint that we are leaning potentially towards a second one. So hopefully we should see that one sometime soon. Auto host hasn't worked for years. I always do it manually. No, I very much appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. Did I mention auto host? I don't know. I've just brain farted there. I'm just going to take a sip of my brew. Cheers. I think it's time for me to have a new cup, by the way, because this is one that I actually got in my old job when I worked in digital marketing for a school supplier. I don't know if I should ever mention the name of it. It was an alright place to work. But basically, schools used to buy pens and pencils and shit. But this is a cup that I've had from there, and I've been here 4 years next month. So I think it's time for a new cup, don't you? Big gulps, huh? dumb reference. So yeah, I'm on the lookout for a new cup. If anyone wants to drop into the Discord and show some new cups off, I am in the business end for potentially a new one. I don't know what that kind of looks like, whether or not it will just be a normal cup like this, or it'll be like Graham's got one that's got Iron Man's head. I don't know whether or not I could sip out something like that. But anyway, enough about brew chat. We've got one more news story for you today, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, this is a dollop. We fly through these. We take your thoughts and opinions. It's basically like a giant conveyor belt. Your thoughts and opinions, next story. My thoughts and opinions on the next story. Bosh, your thoughts and opinions, bang. It's the way it is when it's a dollop. I do apologise for absolutely nothing, but here we are. Last news story of the day. Raynor on VGC by Kelsey Raynor, and she states that Fall Guys free-for-all launch is immediately plagued with server issues. Mediatonic certainly didn't expect so many clumsy beans being chumped off the game at once. Yesterday, Fall Guys did something that many of us had been waiting to do for a long while now. Mediatonic's clumsy title went free to play, and it arrived on Xbox and Nintendo Switch, and introduced also cross multi-platform play. This is a big move for the title, which appears to have copious amounts of adoring fans who've been waiting for this day. Sadly, the launch wasn't without its problems. It took me nearly 40 minutes of sitting in an eternity loading screen before realising something was up, and sure enough, Fall Guys had taken to Twitter to share that server issues were ongoing. We are right. This is obviously a quote Twitter. This is a tweet itself embedded in it. We are aware that some players are unable to matchmake right now. To celebrate our free-for-all launch, I baked us a cake. I dropped it on the servers, and now I'm cleaning up the frosting from the company bits. We'll bake a new cake though. Thanks for your patience. The problem didn't stop there, though. However, not long after the public matchmaking was unavailable, custom lobbies were also temporarily disabled too. Updates from Fall Guys were met with a lot of disdain, with people complaining that the team clearly hadn't prepared enough and that they'd messed up their launch. Needless to say, if Fall Guys tweets are anything to go by, it appears though Mediatonic have never anticipated so many people would jump onto the game the moment that it went free to play. And this is another tweet that's been put in there. Okay, so got some frosting off the ants, say 54% of the frosting and 44% of the ants. Servers are starting to look better, so there may be some teething issues while all these bazillion of you try to play at once. Thanks for bearing with us as we continue to fix this. As of right now, it appears that the server issues are mostly fixed. It's still in early days though, and they're bound to be more teething issues as Mediatonic try to iron things out on their end, but the players should be able to jump into the chaotic battle royale with few issues. Here's hoping that the rest of the cake and ants are cleared up soon. In the meantime, here's everything that you need to know about cross-platform play and progression in Fall Guys. Happy falling. So it's a shame that he's managed to have a lackluster lot. I do apologise that I didn't move myself over to the other side there. But you're listening to me anyway. Something came up on the screen then. Yeah. Fall Guys. I thought it ran its course. Obviously, with being on Steam and PlayStation, I genuinely thought it ran its course. No pun intended. But obviously it being free to play and available on all platforms now, it's just given it a brand new lease of life, which is fantastic because it is a very, 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 very fun game. It's a game that you can play with your friends. It's a game that you can probably get really, really good at. Twitch Rivals for a long time obviously ended up doing competitions with this with big money prizes. So the fact that a lot of people are now being able to play it on the likes of the Nintendo Switch, which this game it absolutely stinks of. It screams of a Nintendo Switch game. So I'm happy that people are back into this again. I hope that they managed to keep this traction up this time because it did feel like it petered off a cliff pretty quick, maybe after 2 or 3 months, which is quite a long time in video games, but not for a battle royale. For a battle royale, it's the kind of, you've got to keep that longevity, you've got to keep people coming back, you've got to add battle passes, you've got to add new characters, you've got to add new maps, you've got to keep people wanting to come back every single day, and I don't feel like they did that very well with it originally. Hopefully this time it'll be a completely different kettle of fish, they'll keep the party going, again, no pun intended. Precision says, I hope it gets back on its feet again. I thought it was a fun game when it launched. And JMK says, I played it months ago, haven't really been played it since. Busy playing other games. Might try it out this weekend again, though. I imagine this weekend is going to be absolutely fire on this game. I reckon there's going to be so many people trying to get into it. The servers may end up crashing again. But they'll just reinstate new servers for people to be able to tag into. They'll just fire up more servers in your region. Hopefully, the teething issues have been bedded in this week, ready for the massive influx of people being able to play this at weekend. Again, it's a very, very fun game. Samantha played the ever-loving shit out of it. She thoroughly enjoyed it. She loves these types of platforming. Like, the Battle Royale element is completely lost on her. She will not even know that she's playing a Battle Royale game. But the fact that she's one character and she needs to be the first person to get over the pole every single time, she absolutely loves that shit. So yeah, it's definitely catered to a particular audience. But fingers crossed that this game ends up moving on to bigger and better things, and it stands the test of time. And in a year's time, we've on season 14. We've got a load of new shit, and people are extremely happy with how the game's playing. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for today's episode of The Scoop. I very much appreciate every single one of you that have joined us for today's episode. That is episode 3. We still have 2 more left this week. So if you do want to help shape those shows, there is 2 ways that you can do so. First of all, find us on social media. It is at Ice Cream Uploads across all major social media platforms, or alternatively, get involved with our Discord. If you're watching this on any of our on-demand services, go into the description below. All the links that you require will be listed there below, but all we need from you is a URL plus your thoughts and impressions. We will then give you our thoughts and impressions on the very next show, which may be at 10 a.m.-ish. But who knows? The only way that you can find out is obviously by following this channel. You'll be notified when we do go live. I very much appreciate everyone who's subscribed, that's hosted us, that's raided us, all the new followers that we've ended up getting over from Candy Stream. I do hope that you have a fantastic day, but stick around. The party does not stop here. We're going to send you over to one of our friends. Please do go over, say hi, even if it's a hi and bye. Just go over, let them know that you're there. And basically just make everybody's day. Who have we streamed? We did Bowser on Monday. We did Precision yesterday. So I tell you what, you want to see some GTA action? Let's go over and see my man Fix. He's currently playing through some GTA RP. Okay, so when you go over to his channel, type in Headshot. That's the name of one of his songs. He is on Spotify, by the way, MC Fixer. Headshot is an absolute banger, by the way. Sorry, it's Head Pop. Head Pop. That's what you need to say. Head Pop. Go over, say hello to him, and just do all the ice creamy things that you usually do. But obviously, until next time, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to do this stream for you today. And as always, stay frosty.